You are here and you're so welcome to this slow class. My name is Ria and I'll guide you safely through some postures, breathing, stretching, a little bit of meditation at the end. I'll start today's class with a story from the Bible. And even if you're not feeling particularly religious or have a faith, I think there's something that you can gain from this story. So take a seat. I am on a block, so that might help you to sit a little bit as well. And then we'll begin just by breathing, and I'll tell the story or share the story. Calm your body, particularly your shoulders and even your legs and thighs. Notice where your breath is placed. If you really pay attention, you might be able to feel that it can go deep or it sits more in the chest. If you're a little bit stressed or anxious, worried for some reason, sometimes the breath can be a little bit in the top of our lungs. So this is why we try to breathe deeply and slowly and somewhat restful. See if you can feel the breath in the side ribs. The lift, the expansion in the ribs as you inhale and as it all settles back as you exhale. And starting with just breathing is super nice. I know that sometimes you feel like, oh, I just want to quit that and get into the movements. But sometimes I feel like the starting breath can be like an opening prayer. Or just an opening to your spirit towards God, however you see God. And sigh out, maybe really loudly if you can, and feel comfortable with that. And let go, surrender. There's nothing you need to carry alone or by yourself. As I read from Acts, the story about Paul or Saul, whatever you want to call him, you are welcome to move. Maybe you want to move a whole lot. Maybe you just want to sit still, rest on the floor. It will take just a few minutes. If you sit still, maybe just picturing the story in front of you. It's quite interesting with lots of small points that you can just be with that might speak to you in some way. So it's from Acts 9. Paul's conversion. And I might add that Paul, or Saul, as he was named in the beginning here, is one of the greatest disciple, so to say, in the New Testament. He travels far, far from Jerusalem, all around the known world back then, and talks about Jesus after this. So he is quite a famous guy, if you don't know the person behind. He wrote most of the letters here in the New Testament, so it's that guy. Meanwhile, Saul was still breathing out murders against the Lord's disciples. He went to the high priest and asked him for letters to the synagogues in Damascus, so that if he found any there who belonged to the way, when either men or women, he might take them as prisoners to Jerusalem. As he neared Damascus on his journey, suddenly a light from heaven flashed around him. He fell to the ground and heard a voice say to him, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?" "Who are you, Lord?" Saul asked. "I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting," he replied. "Now get up and go into the city, and you'll be told what you must do." The men traveling with Saul stood there speechless. They heard the sound, but they did not see anyone. Saul got up from the ground, but when he opened his eyes, he could not see nothing. La 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 la. But when he opened his eyes, he could see nothing. So they led him by the hand into Damascus. For 3 days he was blind and did not eat or drink anything. In Damascus there was a disciple named Ananias. The Lord called to him in a vision, "Ananias." "Yes, Lord," he answered. The Lord told him, "Go to the house of Judah on Straight Street and ask for a man from Tarsus called Saul, for he is praying. In a vision he has seen a man named Ananias come to him and place his hands on him to restore his sight." "Lord," Ananias answered, "I have heard many reports about this man and all the harm that he has done to your saints in Jerusalem. And he comes here with authority from the chief priests to arrest all who call on your name." But the Lord said to Ananias, "Go. This man is my chosen instrument to carry my name before the Gentiles and their kings, and before the people of Israel. I will show him how much he must suffer for my name." Then Ananias went to the house and entered it. Placing his hands on Saul, he said, "Brother Saul, the Lord Jesus, who appeared to you on the road where you were coming here, has sent me so that you may see again and be filled with the Holy Spirit." Immediately, something like scales fell from Saul's eyes, and he could see again. He got up and was baptized, and after taking some food, he regained his strength. Quite an interesting story, I think. Do some free seated movements. I think you might need it now. You can stretch your legs if you feel like it. So as you move, what was the one thing you found the most odd in this story? What was the most odd, or what popped into your mind as, interesting? And I'm asking that question not so that you can find the answer immediately. Sometimes I think we need to stay in the question, stay in the wondering for a little bit. Now I'm making my way out of my block, as you can see, coming into tabletop for some cat-cows to begin with, being gentle with the spine. So I'm rounding the back and taking my back up towards the sky. You might follow your breath so that you inhale as you look up and exhale as you do a cat with the chin towards your chest. And then stay with a flat spine. Stretch one leg out. That can be the right leg. Put back. The toes tucked under. And maybe after just a bit of stretching the calf, you lift the leg up. Bend the knee. Maybe you point the toes. And then you bring this knee underneath yourself for a little bit of a cat with the knee under. And bring it out again. Keep the leg bended. Up and back here, you arch the back. And just 2 more of these. Just fold the mat, do a blanket under your knee if you feel like it's too much for your knee. And just 3 times total, somewhat. Opposite side. Left leg goes back. And then you can lift the leg when you're ready. Always feel like you need to do something else, please do so. No need to do exactly what I do. Just adjust as we go along. And exhale, bring the knee under, nose to knee. Again, keep the leg bended as you lift it up, feeling the glutes here going on active mode. Last lift. And then get your knees down. Child's pose, just so you have that introduced as well. So glutes, backs towards the heels and forehead on the mat. The first thing I just want to bring your attention to is that Saul was, he was certainly not a follower of Christ back then. He was actually trying to get them arrested, kill them, because he was so into what he thought was right and wrong. So he was an advocate for Jewish traditions and Jewish laws, and that was why he was traveling to Damascus to get all the Christians, meaning those who followed the way, to get them persecuted. But Jesus had other plans. I just want to mention, as you get into tabletop again, that reminds me that God can use anybody. Nobody, no matter your history, no matter your past shame, is out of reach for making a difference in this world. I truly believe that everybody has a calling, everybody has a place, no matter the story. Now, tabletop, get your hands in front of you, spread the fingers out, lift the knees off. And as you might move in your down dog, bending one leg at a time.
maybe sigh out if there is anything that you just know tends to hold you back. Well, I'm so small, or I am not fit enough to do something, or I have a divorce, so that's why I can't. Exhale all that out, the past, your story. And then you walk your feet to the top of the mat and fold forward. Warming up, a little bit gentle chair pose. Sitting down, bring the arms here in front of you. And then you do a big circle. So take your arms back and maybe look up for a small back bend. Do a circle. As the arms reaches down, you fold forward, finding the floor with your fingers. Step the right leg back. Tuck the toes. Look forward, high lunge. Arms reaches up towards the sky and move the hip a little bit further down. Gonna lean forward again, bringing our arms in a circle. Lean forward, doesn't have to be a lot, and do a big circle with your arms. And as you bring them to the front or up again, you pivot or turn the back foot around towards your right side, find warrior two. Stacking knee over ankle and keep the arms out, straight, aligned with the floor. And maybe you move a little bit here to waken your thighs and your legs, your glutes. And then you take the back arm, reach down, back heel off, step to the top of the mat, fold forward. And chair pose, repeating this one. So first chair. Take the arms back, keep the core in. And as you get your way with the hands down, find the floor. Left foot, a big step back. High lunge, so trying to keep the balance as you rise up. Leaning forward, you can take your arms to the front this time. Arms circle back. And when the arms are aligned with the ears somewhat, you lift up through the front leg, turn the back foot around, and then again find warrior two. Gaze towards the front hand whenever you got your legs and everything in the right place. And then you windmill this arm around. Back arm, back heel off, step to the front. Fold forward. One more time, chair pose. Take the arms back, big circle. Lean forward, a little bit faster this time. Right leg back. Gaze to the front, reach your arms up overhead. Leaning forward again, circle arms. When they're by your ear the next time, pivot the back foot, lift the core up. Stack the knee over ankle, gaze towards the front hand. Windmill the back arm around, heel off, step to the front, fold forward. Chair pose. Hope you're getting warm by now. Taking the hands back towards the sky, fold forward. Left foot to the back, look to the front, high lunge. Engage the core as you lean forward, circle your arms around. Pivot the back foot when you're ready, warrior two. And back into downward facing dog or tabletop if you choose. slowing down. Right leg, lift that leg up. Toes are pointing down. And just lift the leg as high as possible, keeping the hands firmly down in the mat. One more breath. Then bend the knee and bring the knee down. Again, you might use some extra padding for the knee if you want. Gonna do tabletop with the left leg up and back. We almost did this in the warming up sequence. But this time we're just gonna stay with the core in, and if this becomes too much, just lower down the back foot. As with strength, it's a process. We need patience. And I think Saul also learned patience. 3 days he was in darkness, blind, thinking about what in the world just happened. His whole world was turned around. Everything he thought was right, everything he was fighting for, all of a sudden changed. Lower down the foot. See if you can lift right leg up and back again, three-legged dog, just where we went. But next time you take the knee to the front, you bring the whole foot to the front. And lower down your right knee, low lunge. Keep the arms up overhead. And maybe you, like Saul, have had those experiences where things just completely turned around. Or maybe you're middle of a process, trying to figure out where to go. Bring both hands down, take the back knee off, turn the back foot around to find the warrior two legs. We're gonna lift the left arm up, but keep the front leg bended. Maybe you have this hand on a block. We're gonna go into triangle from the bottom. So you're gonna now extend the front leg and hold on to your ankle, your shin, whatever works for you. Coming up as far as you can, taking this top shoulder, moving it on top of the other shoulder as best you can. Push the hip underneath yourself so that the hip bones here are aligned with your heels. Notice if your head is dropping, it might not feel that nice. And then lift up from this posture, bending the front leg. Take the palm of the front foot, or the front hand up, and then lean back, bending the front leg this time. Peaceful warrior. And this top arm, maybe bring it just a few, 1 inch, 2 centimeters, whatever, back behind your head. You might feel the side ribs here get another kind of a stretch. And then let go. Back heel off, step back, downward facing dog. Optional vinyasa depending on your energy level today. That would be plank, low plank and all that. I'm just going to stay here. Remember to bend your knees if that means you can stretch out your spine a little bit longer. Stay in down dog for a few breaths. Then bend your knees, child's pose. Bring your arms down by your side this time. Now Saul ended up being obedient to the calling that he got. And actually part of the story that I don't hear a lot about, that is that prophet Ananias. God also calls him. And just picture his fear. He is told, go to this guy that could throw you to jail, or in jail could kill you. You have to go there and pray for him. If I was Ananias, I probably would have said, like, Jesus, did I hear you right? What? It's no wonder that he is asking God, is this really what you want me to do? But he still goes. And I'm wondering if I am willing to go. If I am called. If there's something I need to do, am I willing to go also? If it costs me something. Bring your hands to the front again. If your answer to my question was, no, I'm not willing to go. Honestly, I just want to be comfortable. I know what you mean. Take the left leg back. I want to be comfortable too. I don't want to get myself in a painful, struggling situation if I can choose not to. Of course. But the prayer of my heart is that God will make me willing if he really calls me to do something as crazy as Ananias was called to do. One more breath here. And then you can pause and bring the left knee down on the floor. If you feel like your wrists need a pause, you can always come up on your fists. Bring the right leg back, toes pointing down. Stretch out the leg without arching the belly and the spine. See if you can notice the lower part of the abdomen. Bring the right foot down, toes tucked. Hands on the floor as we're going to lift the left leg up and back just to bring it to the front of the mat. Right leg down. Make sure that the front knee and ankle is stacked. And then move into your low lunge. So I'm going to bring my hip a little bit forward. Taking my shoulders down. You might feel a stretch in the hip flexor here in the back of the hamstring, so the back of the thigh. Variation of triangle. So hands down, back knee off. Turn the back foot, toes out towards your right side. Now keep the front leg bended as you take the top of the right shoulder and kind of move it up. And then you can take a hold with your left hand on your leg there and see how far you need to go up so that the buttocks are not like popping out behind you, but staying aligned with the rest of the body, the legs and the feet. If you tend to have neck issues in these postures, make sure you tuck the chin in a little bit. more breath. And then bend the front leg. Back heel up, step to the top of the mat. We're gonna do a little bit of stretching. Forward fold. So make sure you have some distance in between your feet. Just stay put where you are. And you can soften your knees. Let the spine hang flat like you're dry hanging yourself here over the floor. And maybe the last point from this story is that Saul was a mighty instrument of God in the story of the New Testament. He did a lot of things, but he could not have done it if Ananias was not there, was not a part of it in his early days, if Ananias was not obedient. And maybe in your life, you think, I'm never going to be Saul. I'm not going to be that famous, whatever person. But maybe you don't need to be. Maybe you need to be an Ananias. I'll elaborate on that just a little bit more in a moment. But come into mountain pose, standing here at the top of your mat, probably. Standing in mountain, either take a strap if you happen to have one nearby, or just grab the hand or the arm here. Take the shoulder girdle firmly back. Now, as we lean back, we don't want to stand on our heels. We're going to move the hip forward and see if you can get this back bend into the lower part of your spine. So squeezing your shoulder blades back, lifting your gaze a little bit up, soften your knees, and then maybe rounding the back backwards. Extending the back. Take the core in and release. And then take a seat on the mat. Just any cross-legged position. Now, I am not sitting on my block again because we're going to do a seated side stretch. Often one we do when we warm up, but I'm going to do it as we kind of wrap up the class. So if you want to sit on something, maybe just a blanket, not too tall. Right hand down on the floor and left arm up over your head. And then lean towards the side. Try to avoid the tendency of putting your whole body weight on your right butt cheek like that and lifting up on one side. Want to keep both butt cheeks down and then lean to the side, making space between each rib here underneath the armpit. Then the top arm, try to bring it a little bit in front of your nose or your head. What I normally tell you not to do, but try to do that. You stay seated where you are. I'm just going to show you something. So as I lean a little bit to the side like this, I might feel the stretch going more into the latissimus dorsi, into the side here of the back. If that feels good, you can definitely just stay there. Or maybe take the top arm here, take it back just a little bit. Maybe take the gaze up, soften the arm gently back, and see then what happens. You might feel the stretch shift. This I don't feel a whole lot in my body. It doesn't have to be a thing you feel a lot. reset by doing something here. Same stretch, other side. So setting ourselves up, buttocks on the floor, move the ribs to your right side as you lean the head and the arm over and try to go for the straight stretch to begin with. And we can notice what happens as we do these small movements with our arm. Remember to breathe deeply. And then take that arm, bring it a little bit forward without rounding the back, so don't kind of hang out here. And then you might bring the arm back, maybe looking up. And release. Coming down on your back. Resting pose. If you know you're going to get cold, bring a blanket, pillow, whatever you like. And remember that you can stay longer than I am here. There's no right or wrong. It's all about what you need. And as you rest here, it might become a prayer or a wish of your heart that you are on the right path. Your intention, my intentions might be good. We want to do good in the world. We want to make a difference. We want to love people. And actually, I believe that Saul felt the same. He thought he was righteous. He thought he was doing the right thing. But God said, stop. So maybe as you rest here, you might say, God, am I on the right path? And maybe you say, I allow you to stop me if I am not. And if you know that you're on the right path. Doesn't mean that you're perfect, but you're on the right path. Then inhale the peace that is there. You don't have to question. God will stop you if you're not on the right path. Rest in that. Are you on the right path? And God, He will stop you. He will open another door, another window, or place Himself on the road where you're traveling, like with Saul, if you need to stop. Trust in that. I will wrap up the class now. If you're ready to join me, move your ankles and wrists. Maybe you bring your knees in for a hug. And then take a seat. I hope you enjoyed this class, and if you want to read the story, I keep calling him Paul and Saul and all that because in Danish he's called Paul. But if you want to read the story, it's in Acts 9, and if you're curious about some adventurous stories from the New Testament, Acts is the book to go to. Lots of supernatural things, not like animals and fairy tale things, but like healings and stuff happening in that book. So if you want some interesting readings, maybe go to Acts and read that through. It's really an interesting book. Also, if you're not a believer. So yeah, just want to share that. Thank you from my heart to your heart. May God bless you.